Popoff from the Contrarians here. Welcome back to another edition of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. This is the show. It's all just short snappers. These won't take you too long to watch. Where we look at an old period review and see if the writer got it right. You know, these are albums that become legendary or notorious or huge over time kind of thing. And let's see what they thought of it. Today, we're looking at Rainbow Rising. And I wanted to mention that my new Rainbow book is available at martinpopoff.com. This is a big panel review book. We use some of the Contrarians in here. And then also my Sensitive to Light, the Rainbow Story, is also available. This is basically the big wordy story of the band sort of thing. And this has been through a couple of reiterations, so I really stand by this. This is one of my favorite ones of all my bios that I've ever done. That's all at martinpopoff.com with PayPal buttons. Sign them, send them out, Christmas, whatever. Okay, so we are looking at Rainbow Rising. This has become an absolutely legendary album over time. Let's see what Robert Duncan from Rolling Stone says about it at the time. I haven't seen this review, or I haven't seen it in a long, long time. Maybe it's quoted in my Sensitive to Light book. I don't know. But let's see what he says here and see what we think of it. So he writes, from Deep Purple's earliest recordings to this second album with his solo group, there's no mistaking a record in which Ritchie Blackmore is involved. Here, abetted by lyricist vocalist Ronnie Dio, guitarist composer Blackmore continues to lord over his peculiarly, did he even spell it wrong? Dark corner of the universe. The problem, compounded on both Rainbow albums by the lyrics, lies in the discrepancy between the listeners and Blackmore Dio's reality. Evil is the prominent subject, but what's portrayed is either too ambiguous, the apparently diabolical wizard in Stargazer, or too mundane, the autograph hunting groupie in Starstruck, to merit attention. So yeah, it's just pretty cool. He's picking out a theme of evil here, and that's pretty cool. He hasn't said anything disparaging yet, so that although he does call it a problem. But I like this dark corner of the universe, because that's really what this album's about. He isn't really pointing out yet or noticing that there's much difference. There's quite an advance in quality between Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow and Rising, but he's kind of just lumping them together. Let's see what else he says. Blackmore's songs have a predilection for minor modes and simple riffs punctuated predictably and often with syncopated power chording. The result is disjointed, grandiose, and humorless, a gothic heavy metal style. So here he is noticing that Ritchie has a big hand in producing or inventing gothic metal, along with Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and Uriah Heep, but he's getting that right. Minor modes, he's getting that right. And simple riffs, I don't know, punctuated predictably and often with syncopated power chording. That's kind of cool. He's noticing there's a difference between power chords and riffs out there in the world. At this point, 1976, there's not a lot of heavy metal in the world. So to call these riffs simple, I think is a little bit too disparaging. They're about as advanced as other riffs that are out there. I've always said that Sad Wings of Destiny, which is also 76, is even way more advanced than Rainbow Rising. But anyways, and then Black Sabbath's definitely got some pretty incredible riffs as well, as does Ritchie on the Deep Purple albums. Funny, they're still using heavy metal with a dash here, which goes away eventually, and I still see that come up from time to time. People even editing my book sometimes, bring it up and think, hey, is there supposed to be a dash? Okay. Then he says, Dio is certainly the match for Blackmore in both his relentlessly impassioned warbling vocals and his lyrics, which uncover apocalypse at every turn. I like that. That's pretty cool. There's a hole in the sky. Something evil's passing by. Dio spits and snarls, but what he is describing is usually called spring fever. Even after Blackmore mounts the most successful musical attack of the album, replete with who-like slashing guitar chords, all Dio can muster, albeit with exceptional angst, is, do you close your eyes when you're making love? If this is the denouement, what's all the fuss about? Again, what happens with these old reviews is as these bands are just inventing heavy metal for the first time. And, I've often said, remember that this is the first album that I remember ever hearing as a kid that had no mellow music on it whatsoever. So that was cool about this album, getting Rising for the first time. But you get a comparison with The Who. Which is crazy, right? I mean, I can see comparing this to, as I say, the other Rainbow album, or Deep Purple, or Uriah Heep, or Black Sabbath, but there's nothing particularly Who-like on Rainbow Rising, that's for sure. Then he ends by saying Blackmore's guitar soloing has always been the saving grace of his compositions. He has a full-bodied, fluid style, most effectively displayed here on A Light in the Black, and he can stutter and wail with the best blues rock guitarists. Unfortunately, on Rising, the setting is too distracting. In a less gloomily banal context, his playing might shine. So he says that this setting is distracting, which is a neat, creative, artistic kind of way to say something about Rainbow Rising. It's pretty cool. It is a distracting setting. It's a world of wizards and wonder and all that kind of stuff. And again, you get a comparison with the old days. Among the best blues rock, and he even does blues rock with a dash in it, right? Wail with the best blues rock guitarists. Well, as we all know, Ritchie Blackmore is inventing a new style of guitar playing that is based more on classical than it is on blues. Ritchie had a funny relationship with the blues, right? It's one of the reasons why he left Deep Purple. It was too funky and too bluesy, right? So yeah, it's funny that connection is being made again. So you get two old references here. You get The Who and you get blues rock, right? But I like that about the setting being distracting. But his playing shines anyways. We know that it shines anyways, so there was no problem with that. So there you go. That is another episode of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. Let us know in the comments below what you think of this review, written by Robert Duncan, and let me know what you think of this review done by me. We'll talk to you later.